Hello, Namaste, and welcome back to CCSP Certified channel. Today we will cover the forensic related concept that is part of the risk in the cloud. If you are new to my channel, I would like to inform that I have already covered three topics, one on IAM, one on encryption, and one on cloud characteristics. This is topic 4 risk in cloud going on, and I have already covered over 50% syllabus with this lecture. So if you are new, please subscribe my channel so you don't miss all the important topics related to CCSP exam. My focus in this video series is to cover high probability exam topics and difficult exam concepts, because soundness of concept is very important to clear any of the IC2 exam, especially CCSP. Also, I would like to cover questions from various sources. Most important sources, my exam candidates feedback, that is memory based collection of the questions from them. Second is a CCSP question bank, and third is sample question banks. So in this video series, I try to bring those questions and show you, and with the concepts, the questions, also those coming in the exam, and to the point discussion in this video series. Because time is limited, I will use my IT knowledge of 14 years and the CCSP and other cloud certification learning to make things simple and easy to understand for you. My goal is to help you get further faster in your CCSP exam certification. So is it a sufficient study? So yes, YouTube study that I'm preparing is free and sufficient, but if you want comprehensive study, you may join any of the regular batches I'm running, or the purchase classroom recordings of those batches on nominal price. So current batch I'm starting is the batch from 8 August onward, that may go till 20th of September, because it is 25 class, 4 days a week I teach from morning 8 a.m. to 9:15 a.m. IST. So it is for working professional. Days are not fixed. We can select any of 4 days in a week. Normally it is from Thursday to Friday, but based on the audience consent, we can change the days. Also, if you miss the recording because of any reasons, if you miss the classes, I can share the recording of those classes. And so far I have a 100% success ratio. I have already taught 8 batches before this. This is ninth one I'm starting. If you are interested, you can write me at the ccsp-certified@gmail.com or WhatsApp me at this number if you are interested to join regular batches. Else follow my YouTube channels to stay tuned. Before I jump to the topic, I quickly discuss the peace of mind promotional activities going from by IC squares. So that date or the time you are watching this video, these dates might have changed, but the offer will remain same. IC square run this promotional offer almost every month, and this is the right way to write the exam, because you go in the exam with a relaxed mind. They give a free second attempt in case you are not able to qualify in the first attempt. So current offer going on that if you purchase a voucher by 31st July, you can write first attempt by 31st August. In case you still need a second attempt, you can rewrite this by October 15 without any cost. So always go with this offer. When you write CCSP, CISSP, they charge some nominal fees above the exam fees when they go with this offer. Now we quickly discuss the risk in the cloud, because we already have covered 8 topics. You might be aware that cloud computing has several benefits: flexibility, scalability, cost effectiveness. However, the organization or the implementer need to be aware about the risk associated with the cloud, and there are very various risks. We have covered few important in this video series. We have already covered the virtualization, data risk, vendor locking, vendor lockout, insider threats, privilege accounts management, compliance, audit, and legal risk. Also, we have seen three terminologies: forensic, eDiscovery, and audit in the last to last videos. So we already have covered a eDiscovery notice in the last lecture, lecture 8. Today we'll cover the forensics, and the next and the last lecture will be an audit. So what is forensic? In this video, we'll learn about the what is forensic and what is a cloud forensic. Also, we'll see some phases of the digital forensics, and then the last we'll see the best practices of evidence collection from host OS, guest OS, or other mechanisms. So what is forensic? So forensic is a science, and that the application of science to the law is a forensics. So it is a science and we apply science to the law. We have might seen the CIDs and others different movies or the crime related web series where we have seen the collection of the evidence. Same way in the digital also, when the digital crime has happened, we have a responsibility to collect the evidence. So the digital forensic is the application of science of to identification, collection, examination, and analysis of the data while preserving the integrity of the information. So information must not be modified and maintain a strict chain of the custody of the data. So when we collect the evidence for the examination or the analysis purpose, we have to ensure that the integrity is maintained and at the same time the chain of custody also maintained. So what is chain of custody? We'll discuss it. Before this, quickly we discuss the cloud forensics. So to promote the best practices for acquisition and investigation of the digital evidences, ISO and IEC has provided some set of standard specification related to the cloud forensics. So few specification number we should remember, though CCSP don't ask directly what is the cloud forensics related that certification numbers, but sometime in options they give whether it is related to the risk management, what are the risks related to what is true about the cloud forensics, and one of the option can be that ISO 27037 is related to the cloud forensics. That's correct. So 37, 41, 42, 43, and 50. That five number is good to remember. They are in sequence. After 37 there is a 41, 42, 43 in sequence, and last is 27,050, and 27,050 is for eDiscovery. So in these standards they discuss about the good bad practices, methods and process for forensic captures and investigation of digital evidences. So there are some phases of digital evidences or digital forensics. So first is identification of incident and evidence. First is very important. Some identification of incident. Some crime has happened, whether it is a digital crime or is a normal crime. First is someone report some identification of the incident or has happened. Then there is a next step is collection. The teams goes and collect the evidences. Next phase is collection of the evidences. Third is examination, fourth is analysis, and fifth is reporting. This sequence is also very important. Sometimes they ask this sequence. That's why I have created one trick, ISA, because identification, collection, and examination, that is the sequence people get confused. Here examination comes before analysis and reporting is the last step that everyone remember, but they get confused between collection, examination, and analysis. So what is examination? What is analysis? So examination is examine of the data, but we are not going to any conclusion in examination. In analysis, we identify people, places, items, events to determine how these elements are related to a conclusion can be reached. So in examine, we are examining the evidences like blood sample in the real life. They examine the blood sample, the weapon used, or the time of the crime. But in the analysis, they found that someone was there. He was using this car. He was using this mobile phone. He was using these items to perform a crime. So this analysis comes. That is a conclusive analysis they perform. So always remember the sequence: identification, collection, examination, analysis, and reporting. One question they ask sometime on this phases of the forensics also. And some chain of custody also very important keyword from exam perspectives. What is chain of custody? Is maintaining evidence from collections to trial is a very critical, and that's why the chain of custody who hold the evidence and what how he is holding, whether the temper has happened or not, it is very important. So evidence has moved from one person to others to others. Chain of custody ensure that the evidence has been collected and maintained properly. So there should be some policies and procedures in place for collecting and managing of the evidence. They should be followed, and also ensure that uh, we should not collect the data outside the scope of the requesting legal documents. Whatever is required for forensic purpose, those data or detail is only collected. Certain legal discovery documents or orders specify that the CSP is not allowed to disclose close any activity undertaken in support of the order. They should be avoided. So evidence that we collect should be authenticate, authenticate, authentic. They should be authentic. They should be accurate. They should be complete. They should be convincing, and they should be admissible to the court. So these are the few attributes of the evidence. Not very important from exam perspective, but good to know. The most important part is the best practices. So whenever we collect the evidence, we should always utilize original physical media whenever possible when collecting evidence. The first phase was the identification, second was the collection. So when the collecting the evidence, always collect it from the physical media that is original, because sometimes the copies or the evidence given from second media is compromised. Also, when do the analysis, always make a copy of this one. So for analysis, always use verified copies to preserve the original evidence. Then we should create copies of the evidence. So accidentally and accidentally, we should not temper the original evidence that will be presented to the court. Always verify the integrity using the hashing. We have seen that the evidence should be without temper and should be properly secured, and hashing help them. Hashing ensure that whatever the hash value in starting at the time of collection and what is the hash value at time of submission does not change. So all the collection process or the verification or the identification, examination, analysis, hashing value must be maintained. Now there are some documented procedures to perform each of these steps that must be followed. Also, there will be a communication channel should be established between the relevant parties like CSP, legal authorities, court, or the customers. So there should be proper communication channel should be established. Also, we should document everything that we are performing any steps or that we are collecting any evidence, we are founding anything that should be documented. Also, there should be adequate physical security should be provided, because these original physical media, yeah, are the disk. This something can be destroyed, something can be tempered. So there should be proper security control should be there. Also, there should be physical and environmental maintenance should be there. These drives can be tempered or the humidity impacted. There should be proper temperature or humidity where they are being placed. And also there are some tools like blocking interface. We can use the Faraday cage, which blocks electromagnetic signals, so someone cannot wipe out the data in the hard disk. Or for if we are transporting mobile devices, we can use the Faraday bag. Those are recommended approach for collecting the evidences. Same time, in virtual environment, there is a host and the guest OS system. We already have covered the virtualization concept in the previous one of the video. So in the type 1 VM or type 2 VM, we do have a host operating system, and above this we spin off our machines. This is a guest operating systems. So what are the best way to collect the evidence from host and guest operating systems? From host operating systems, physical access will be required in order to collect the forensic evidence from host. But we have seen the live migration of the DRS in the cloud, and because of this nature of this virtualization, a virtual machine that was one of the hosts may have been migrated to one or more hosts after the incident has occurred. So in the live migration of the DRS being used, when a server goes down accidentally, the host machine goes down accidentally, or they turn it down because of the maintenance activities, all the VMs running on them should not get impacted, so they move this to some other places. That is the host OS. That is a live migration DRS related concept. For the guest operating system, a snapshot may be the best methods for collecting a forensic image, because in the guest operating systems, if you collect the screenshot or a snapshot of this virtual machine, we can keep the guest OS running, and we can have use this copy to collect the evidences. and there should be some write blocker should be there in place when collecting digital evidences to prevent the an accidental writing of the data back to the host or the guest OS. So what this write blockers device do they allow acquisition of information on drive without creating a possibility of accidentally damaging the drive contents. So when you are collecting data from host or the guest or operating system, there should be mechanisms to block writing back to them via collecting process. So this the concept wise we'll cover a few questions. There will be a couple of questions from forensic in the exam. So first one is, what is important term in the field of data forensics referring to the maintaining of control of evidences? So eDiscovery probably cause chain of custody and doctrine of proper law. So doctrine of proper law is related to law. We'll see when we'll read about the laws. E-discovery we have already read, that is a notice that is not related to the forensic. We have seen the chain of custody to maintain the evidence from collections to trial is a chain of custody. There is very important term related to data forensics. The second one, in addition to having it for business continuity and disaster recovery BCDR purpose, data archiving might also be useful for. So this way CCSP merge few topics together. So we have seen the BCDR planning in our previous videos, and we have seen that business continuity and disaster recovery purpose we make a data archiving or backups so they can be retrieved when there is a loss has happened, but same archiving and the uh, data stored or data backup can be used for forensic investigation also. If any evidence need to be collected and the crime has happened, let's say 6 months before, a year before, at that time the data should be available in some archiving storage or some backup storage, and that's why not only for BCDR purpose, data archive can be used for the forensic purpose also. The option B is correct. The third one, when you are accessing a electronic storage file or for forensic purpose, it is best practice to use. So we have seen that whether you collect data from host or guest, always use a write blocker, because that is a possibility that when you're collecting, you can tamper the actual evidence or actual system because of the not using the write blocker. So there should be no write operation from your end to the storage file or the database or the hard disk you are collecting data. The option should be D, write blocker. The second last question, which of the following aspect of the virtualization make the technology useful for evidence collections? So which technology will be used for the evidence collections? We have hypervisor, pooled resources, snapshotting, and live migration. So we have seen the live migration is not helpful. This is a painful because because of the live migration, the VM can be moved to other hosts, and we are not sure which host it is now when we are collecting evidence. So live migration cannot be option. We have seen the snapshotting is one of the best way to collect the guest OS related data, because virtual machine we can take a snapshot and we can keep the system running. So snapshotting is one of the technology that can be helpful for evidence collection in the cloud. Hope that is clear. Now the last question in this one, when collecting digital evidence for forensic purpose, it is important to compare the integrity value for any copied material against. So when we copy a material, we found any copied material, and we perform the hashing operation for integrity purpose. From where we compare that hashing value. So it is we will compare with the original, because we have seen the original is very important, and the maintain of the integrity of the data is very important. We always maintain the original data, and the collect when the time of collection we calculate the hash, and that has been hash been copied or compared when they copy the material. So this from forensics, hope you will get fair idea of the topic. You will get one or two question in CCSP exam from this. So thank you. In case you found it informative, please like my channel, subscribe my channel. Thank you so much.